Yield back.
I thank the gentleman. I'll challenge myself with questions. How many in the audience has a car? Who's all worried about their catalytic converter going missing? Why would I ask that, Craig? Rhodium is pretty expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like all the rest of these critical minerals. They have a cost. And what you see is the way China does this is when you have a company that gets started in the United States, they start building up, they're starting to get that money, and then all of a sudden what happens is China starts lowering the price. They get you sucked in, and then they bottom you out. And so you go out of business. That's how this is done. So, Jim, I'm going to ask you another question. What's unusual about the Superior National Forest? Is there a withdrawal area? Is there a buffer area?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman, there is. It's when the Congress in 1978, when the Congress permitted or actually set aside the Boundary Waters mining or Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, Congress had the wisdom to draw a boundary around it, and they called that the Mining Protection Area. It's 3 miles wide, and in that legislation, that is wilderness area, and in that legislation, they protected mining. Now, to the south, where the withdrawal just occurred by the Secretary of Interior, those lands are managed working federal lands under the Federal Land Policy Management Act. So they're separate. One is managed as wilderness by the U.S. Forest Service. The second is managed as Federal Land Policy Management Act working lands under FLPMA. There's 6 principal uses, and I hope I'm addressing your question. There's 6 principal uses in this statute. And what the Secretary of Interior is taking advantage of is, number one, bureaucracy. And what they're doing is they're withdrawing the lands of the Superior National Forest of the Duluth Mineral Complex. They're withdrawing that and eliminating a principal use. The principal use of mining and extraction. There is where Congress has an opportunity to affect the process. Because whenever, this is on the statutes, this is FLPMA, it's a very complex law, but under FLPMA, in order to eliminate one or more principal uses, the Secretary of Interior has to come to Congress. They didn't. If I may... Oh.
Go ahead. Mr. Cabrera, now we've heard a lot about the Congo. And one thing I haven't heard, though, is child labor practices. Can you address that for us?
Yeah, so the Democratic Republic of Congo is known for utilizing child labor in their mines that produce cobalt. Cobalt is a very important mineral. It's used in lots of technology, and it's also quite rare. And the fact of the matter is that other countries do not protect the environment or the worker or the economy of their local residents and the communities around the mines as well as we do.
Yeah, and the quality of life for those individuals has got to be horrendous, doesn't it?
When you see photographs of these mining operations in foreign countries, it's grieving. There's a group called Better in My Backyard, and I agree with that phraseology. We know how to mine well, we know how to mine sustainably, and we know how to do this within our communities such that it's a win-win scenario. And there's actually very few countries that do it as well as we do.
So my question to you is we are allowing this child labor use, we're actually part of the problem, aren't we?
I would agree.
Really interesting, really interesting. I kind of want to go now to Craig. I've been told by a number of experts that we have a great recycling program in the United States. Is that true?
We have a good recycling program. We can't recycle everything we need, not even close. The only recycling we're getting for nickel is coming out of stainless steel. Very small percentage. it's not enough to make up the deficiency that we can fill with mining and refining.
So if we were looking at recycling, what would be some of the things that you could see us doing in recycling? Could we be looking at turbines? Could we be looking at batteries? Could we be looking at solar cells? What would we be doing?
What we need to start recycling is solar panels and EV batteries. We can regain a little bit of the product, but we're also keeping a huge mess from hitting the landfills. We have 12 heavy metals. 4 of them are carcinogens in every photovoltaic solar panel. Heavy ones, cesium, cadmium. If they get down to the aquifers, the solar panels could ruin every aquifer on Earth. That reaching a little bit, but we don't want that stuff getting down into our water supplies, and the only way we need to have recycling centers for everything that is the modern solar panels, EV batteries, and I think Kingman, Arizona would be a good place for it.
Well, you also said that you like clean air, clean water, and clean land, didn't you?
I love it.
So do I. I love it big time. My time has expired. I'm going to actually go to a second round of questions. So we'll start with